What's up, guys? UFC 309 just 2 days away, and I want to apologize to all my subscribers and followers. I wanted to get this video to you earlier. I've had the craziest freaking week. A lot of things going on in my life. However, we're here, and we're talking bets. We're talking picks, and everything about UFC 309. It's going to be a great event. The more I look at it, the more excited I get. I think there's a lot of good matchups, a lot of close ones. I do have quite a few dogs winning. So stick around. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. And of course, if you want my premium picks, guys, be sure to go to my Instagram, hit subscribe. $4.99 a month, guys. And we're out here killing every freaking card. I think I have 2 cards in the time I've been doing it in like 6 months where I did not make a profit. Every other card, we're making profits. So anyway, let's get right to it, guys. Early prelims, Veronica Hardy, Eduardo Mora, and I'm getting all this information from the UFC website when we're talking odds right now. Veronica Hardy, minus 142 favorite, Eduardo Mora, plus 120. Guys, I'm going dog here. Easily the better striker, Veronica Hardy. I expect her to not be pushing the pace, but I expect her to be fighting, moving backwards. A lot of point fighting. She's well coached. Dan Hardy in her corner. Eduardo Mora, to me, just a dog. Going to be moving forward, very resilient, going for constant takedowns. There's a previous fight she had 20-plus takedown attempts. I think it's going to be the same way. And if she gets Veronica down, we're staying there the whole round. They get back up, I think they're going to be clinched up against the cage. And again, I think Veronica Hardy might be doing the right things to step away, get away from her. But ultimately, I think the control time is going to lie with Mora. I think she's going to not be very successful striking, so she needs to be very careful and very wary of Veronica. But I don't see Veronica finishing this fight. I think Eduardo is going to be hunting the whole fight, looking for the takedown. I think she will have success regardless of how many times it does take her to get it. And ultimately, I think she wins unanimous decision. I have to see what those odds look like to bet it. But I do like the dog here, starting off the night with the dog. Moving forward, and these first few fights, guys, I am going to try to break down super quickly. I want to get to the main stuff. I have a lot to say. Basil Hafez versus Oban Elliott. That's the second fight of the night. Hafez coming in as a plus 240 underdog. And that line has moved a lot. And honestly, Hafez is good value here. Oban Elliott minus 298 favorite. Now, when this line was a little closer, I liked Oban Elliott a lot because personally, I think he wins. He's the more technical fighter, and honestly, I'm deterring from Hafez because in his last fight against Gall, I saw him do a lot of what I call Michael Chandler shit. He walked into the octagon and he wanted to be entertaining. He wants to be that guy. He was putting his hands down, like letting him hit him, trying to be explosive at random times, just hands down, doing the foolish shit, which I love it, right? Super fun. However, when we start upping our competition level, that becomes a problem for me, right? Because there's going to be times it works out. There's times that you're a fan favorite, but then there's times when you're dealing with technical dudes who are serious and killers, Oban Elliott, you're going to lose. So, Basil Hafez, the edge I think he has here is finishing ability. I do not think that Oban Elliott finds a finish here. I think he wins in decision, outstrikes, outgrapples, outpaces for about 15 minutes. I think that could be done on Oban Elliott's side. Now, the problem is Hafez is going to keep coming forward, going to keep attacking you. Huge overhand rights, huge hooks. He's looking for a finish. So at any point in this fight, Hafez can win. Always a puncher's chance. But personally, like I said, the better fighter is who I usually go with. I'm going Oban Elliott. However, I do not like the odds, so I may stay away. If you're going for underdog here, I do not judge you. I do not blame you. There's good reason to do so. Moving forward, speaking of the devil himself, Gall versus Brahimaj. My apologies. Gall coming in as a minus 142 favorite. Ramez plus 120, and I'm sorry for all the stuttering. Gall, speaking of him in the fight with Hafez, just a durable guy. A good grappler, someone who's going to establish a jab. He's long and lanky. I'm all over this guy after that fight. I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. I think he's a little underrated. And again, it's a recency bias because I think this love for him is really off of his last fight. Because prior to that, Gall to me was just one of those guys I say, hey, it's Gall. But I give him a lot of credit. I like his momentum. He did lose that fight, but I think he's going to have a better opportunity against Ramez here. And to be honest with you, if he avoids getting taken down and being on his back too long, even though I think he does have good grappling, I think he just outdogs Ramez. I think he is resilient, and I think he's going to push the pressure, and he's just going to quit. He's going to make him quit. So I'm going Mickey Gall here. Not necessarily a finish. I could see this going to decision, but I'm all over Mickey Gall. Marcin Tybura, Jonata Diniz. Guys, oh man, I just opened this up. All right, so Diniz is actually undefeated. He's coming in as a plus 124 underdog. Tybura, he's actually ranked minus 148. We saw him lose to Spivak recently. I like Tybura. I've liked him for a long time. I don't think he's this crazy MMA fighter. I don't think he's that good. He's been fun to watch in a few fights. Diniz is a powerful dude, and I think he's really scary. What's keeping me on the fence here, or kept me on the fence prior to this video, was the fact that he is the only Brazilian, Diniz this is, that cannot grapple. The guy is useless. If he gets taken down, we have real big issues. If Tybura is able to come in there, not strike with Diniz, take him down, and gas him out to take a little bit of his power, Tybura might just control this fight, control time, kind of even striking, and he takes the fight. Because we know Tybura could wrestle. I don't think he finds a sub here, but he can. He did it against Ty. He could do it against Jonata. But I don't think it goes that way. I think we may see a first round finish. I think Diniz is that good. I think he's that powerful. I think he catches Tybura. Tybura might be putting himself in a bad position. He has kind of been declining, in my opinion, in the last few fights. So my money's on the dog here again. My second dog of the night in the early prelims, Jonata Diniz. I think he beats Tybura, and I think he gets a finish. But I understand, again, if you're going Tybura here, it makes a lot of sense. If he finds the takedowns, there's no reason to go Jonata. It's just the only Brazilian in the world who can't freaking grapple. Next up, new fight, David Onama, Roberto Romero, the Mexican fighter. Guys, I got to be frank with you. This is a last-minute fight for Roberto Romero, and I'm not going to act like I know so much about this kid. Not impressed by him. Some grappling ability. I think he will take down David Onama, but I think David Onama is just a way better fighter. It's just that frank. He's more technical. He's a good striker. I think he could easily find a finish. I think he's going to be faster. It's going to be one of those things where the one fighter's just way ahead of the other. One step ahead. Slipping everything. He's defending takedowns. And again, we could credit that to Romero coming off a very short notice. And David actually had a camp, even though it wasn't for Romero. But David's just the better athlete, the better fighter. I'm going David Onama, and I think he gets a finish. Jim Miller, the prehistoric gentleman in mixed martial arts. A legend, if you want to say that. UFC 100, 200, and 300. I mean, this guy, his longevity is incredible. And then he's taking on a durable son of a gun, Damon Jackson, who looks absolutely nuts in the picture I'm looking at. Let's see if I get that up here. Guys, Jim Miller, plus 150 underdog. Damon Jackson, minus 180 favorite. I'm all over Damon Jackson. I love Jim Miller. I want to see him at UFC 500. He's just declining. Your body can't do it anymore, man. This guy has been through like 7 wars and back, and he's still in there. And look at that fight against Bobby Green, man. I'm not saying Damon Jackson has the striking ability of Bobby Green, but Jim Miller's just in there getting pounded, man. And even though I think he could be a sneaky sub finish against Damon Jackson, I think Damon Jackson is like this uncomfortable, strong, durable octopus when he gets to the ground. He's really uncomfortable. He's explosive. And I just think he's so durable. I do not see Jim Miller putting him out. I don't think he subs him. And if they go to decision, I know that Damon Jackson had the pace throughout the fight. I don't think Jim Miller puts on a pace in this fight. I don't think he keeps up with Damon Jackson. So I'm all over Damon Jackson. In reality, I think that goes to decision. I'm pretty confident on it, and I like minus 180. I think that's very fair. If I was an odds maker, I would have a way more of a spread on this fight, believe it or not. And no disrespect to Jim Miller. I love him. It's just I don't see it. All right. Chris Weidman fighting Eric Anders. This became a pick'em. Chris Weidman was the underdog. He's now minus 102. Eric Anders minus 118. I don't want to spew out Chris Weidman hate, but I'm not on this bus of Chris Weidman coming back. I don't think he won that fight against Bruno Silva. I think the eye pokes were BS. I think there should have been point deductions. I just don't think he won the fight. Prior to that, coming back from the leg injury against Brad Tavares, he looked like crap. I think this is no different. I'm glad he's getting his confidence back. I'm glad he wants to be in there. He's Chris Weidman at the end of the day. A lot of respect for him. But it's time to go. It was time to go 2 years ago. So now that he's in here just trying to, stick around and he's on these prelims, I just don't like it. I hate when we had a guy, someone who beat Anderson Silva twice, and now he's coming back fighting these prelim and early prelim guys. Like, dude, just hang it up. Leave on top. Why are we doing this? Why do we have to see a Tony Ferguson exit? I don't think it's the right move. However, a lot of people were picking him. A lot of people. Almost everything, obviously I follow a lot of MMA pages. I listen to podcasts, things like that. Everybody's all over Chris Weidman, and I'm like, why? Then again, Eric Anders, not that impressive. Could be a little chinny. I understand it, but I'm all over Eric Anders. I think even though he's also not too young, he's no spring chicken. I think he's a powerful dude. I think he could control this fight. I don't think Chris Weidman's going to get any takedowns. I think they're going to try to strike, and I think Eric Anders gets it done. How? I'm shaky about that one, but I just think Anders is the athlete right now. I don't know why I see Chris Weidman as this old guy who's trying to hang on to a dream. And when I see that, I'm just not all over it. You're going to see, I'm going to talk about a few guys. Age in MMA, it matters. You do. You hit your prime, and the decline comes quickly. And it's like a straight shot. It's like a cliffhanger. It's not like the slow decline. Look at Tony Ferguson. And he's just keep riding that. He already fell off the cliff, and he's just ran through it for the next 7 fights. It just happens in one fight. And Chris Weidman hasn't shown me anything in the last couple fights that I've been impressed with. Not that Eric Anders, just like his name, nothing impressive. I don't think he gets it done. Next up, Jonathan Martinez, and this is our featured prelim, ranked number 13 in the bantamweight division against Marcus McGhee. Jonathan Martinez plus 124, Marcus McGhee minus 148. I'm all over Marcus McGhee. Again, going with the favorite here. This guy's pace is freaking ridiculous. I think this first round could be an absolute nightmare for Jonathan Martinez because sometimes I feel like he's starstruck. He's kind of slow to get it going. He has those effective leg kicks. But other than that, I think Marcus McGhee is going to be on him like white on rice. It's going to be a bad first round for Jonathan Martinez. And once Marcus McGhee gets that momentum and confidence from round number 1, I think he cruises. I think he just has control of this fight. And I think Jonathan Martinez, if he wants to win this fight, he needs to take round number 1. He cannot let Marcus McGhee come in there, outpace him, and then he has to play catch up in round 2 or 3 because I think Marcus McGhee just takes him. So Jonathan Martinez is going to be fighting moving backwards. He needs effective leg kicks. But if Marcus McGhee takes that away, he's able to evade it, check those leg kicks. I think it's a terrible night for Jonathan Martinez. Again, another thing, Jonathan Martinez, word on the street is he's not in his gym anymore. He started his own gym, all in this process of getting this fight. And it's like, dude, you got a guy, you're both professionals, both training nonstop, but now you're like starting a gym, business things, personal life issues in that sense. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he has personal life issues, but it's just something that's weighing him down. New coaches probably. It's all a mess in my eyes. I don't think we should lean Jonathan Martinez here at all. Of course, he has the ability, but I'm a big Marcus McGhee guy, and this guy's going to outpace the shit out of him, and I think that's how he wins it. Moving on to the main card. Here we go. Mauricio Ruffy, James Llontop. Guys, not a lot of Peruvian fighters. Talking about James here. It's a catchweight bout. Mauricio Ruffy should kill this man. The only thing I will say about the Peruvian is he's a durable son of a gun. Durable as hell. I'd go and say he's like one of the better chins we've seen. He's going to wear it. He's going to be a punching bag. He's a sack of potatoes for Mauricio Ruffy to train with. And that's all I got. I just think Mauricio Ruffy's going to, like I said prior, be 10 steps ahead of this guy. He's going to get whatever he wants. And honestly, I like a finish for Ruffy, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get it because of his opponent's chin. So Mauricio Ruffy's the pick. I think it's a masterclass. I think he either finds a knockout finish or we see him win by decision. But that is a lock. And of course, he's minus 900 and plus 600 for Llontop. Moving on. Vivi Araújo, Karine Silva. Plus 240 for Vivi. And then Silva's a minus 298. Guys, Vivi's good. Good all over. Gonna be there in the striking. Gets hit a little bit too much for my liking. Solid grappler. And then you have Silva, who's gonna come in, also be effective striking. Good grappling. So a really good matchup all over the octagon, standing and on the ground. However, what changes this up for me and what gives me the pick to go Silva Silva's always looking for a finish. Silva's going to be hunting submissions. Silva's going to be trying to freaking knock her out and finish her whenever she sees the window. I think Vivi's going to be a little more patient. I think she's going to be trying to be a little more precise with her shots. I think that she's going to let the fight come to her. And ultimately, I think that's what's going to lose this fight. Do I think Silva finishes her? Not really. I think we do see a decision. Is it possible? Absolutely. But I really like Silva in this matchup. Very even. I don't hate an underdog pick here, but I am going Silva. Next up, before we get to the good stuff, Bo Nickal, Paul Craig. Guys, Bo Nickal, minus 1350. Paul Craig, plus 800. I mean, you have to throw shit at the dog here. Not that I will, because I think that Bo Nickal wins this fight. But these odds are so stupid. You can't gamble anything here. You don't want to, because someone is going to test and check Bo Nickal one day. You don't want to be the a-hole who put $13.50 down to win $100 and lose $13.50. Because at the end of the day, Bo Nickal has not been tested with elite competition just yet. Is Paul Craig a bit better than his other opponents? Absolutely. Is Paul Craig going to get steamrolled? Absolutely. I don't even think we see a sub. I don't think Bo Nickal takes down Paul Craig. Paul Craig gets hit a lot. And I'm not saying that Bo Nickal is this elite striker who everybody needs to be fearful of. But Bo Nickal packs some power. Bo Nickal has a couple knockouts. Bo Nickal can absolutely finish this fight. And I think that he's going to try to make a statement. I think he's not going to grapple Paul Craig because Paul Craig could probably keep up a little bit, have a sneaky sub. I think Bo Nickal rather strike with him because I think he has a better opportunity to finish him there quickly, right? Flurry of punches. Paul Craig sucks, gets hit a lot. Boom, knockout. And all of a sudden, Bo Nickal is becoming that guy who's like, oh shit, he's not just going to come in and wrestle and be kind of boring for us. No, he's coming in and he's fucking knocking dudes out. And to do that to Paul Craig, I think, will actually mean something. So I have Bo Nickal. I do think knockout, TKO, feeling a little frisky. Might throw that in there, but do not hit a money line bet here. If you like Paul Craig, you like him by sub, shoot it. Shoot it. Always a puncher's chance. I mean, plus 800, I don't blame you. Do I think he's going to win? Absolutely not, guys. Bo Nickal by a landslide. Steamrolls. I mean, straightforward. Now to the last two fights, the ones you've probably wanted to hear me speak about, if you've stuck around this long. Charles Oliveira ranked number 2 in the lightweight division against Michael Chandler, number 7, whose poor thing has been waiting for Conor McGregor for quite some time. Charles Oliveira is a minus 270 favorite. Michael Chandler plus 215 underdog. Guys, if you've watched my breakdowns and we see rematches and trilogies, you're going to see that I don't bet against the guy unless he shows me a reason to, right? For example, Alex Pereira. I'm not going to bet against him right now. He's on a freaking streak. He's killing everybody. He's knocking out everyone in front of him. He proves me otherwise, I'll change my opinion on him. But right now, he's absolutely cleaning up divisions. So I tend to believe history repeats itself. Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler have fought before. Charles Oliveira got the best of Michael Chandler in that fight. But this was years ago. And this was a little different. Like I said earlier, and I said it about Hafez, Michael Chandler has the worst fight IQ I've ever seen. And I don't think he's stupid. He's a very intelligent guy. I just think he goes in there and he wants to be an entertainer. Because at the end of the day, if you're entertaining and you're winning fights, you are Dana White's fucking baby. You're his star boy. You're the face of the UFC. And that's the reality. You could win 20 fights in a row by decision. I promise you're nothing. But if you win 10 out of those 20 and all of them are flashy, crazy knockouts, you're going to be real successful and you're going to make a lot of money. And that's what Michael Chandler wants to do. And that's what he's done before. Walks up to guys with his hands down, gets hit in the chin, explosive as hell, coming out of the gates at 130 miles an hour, gasses out, but he's in there like a dog, gets beat, gets cut up, gets bruised up, does anything he can to make it a dog fight. And we love it. I love Michael Chandler fights. I do. However, unfortunately, that's why he has losses against guys like Gaethje, Poirier, and Charles Oliveira. Because when you're dealing with this level, it's not about the dogfight. The dogfight comes later in the fight. Championship rounds, where it's all heart. You can't come in, gas yourself out, try to get the guy out early, and then think you're going to last another 15 minutes or another 10 minutes because he's only been in 3-round fights, the majority of them. So, this is what I will say. I'm going against my own logic here. I'm going against what I usually stand for. I think Michael Chandler, and this is a hot take, the underdog beats Charles Oliveira in this 5-round fight. And you're going to be like, what? But yes, Michael Chandler is in insane shape. Insane shape. He looks better than he's ever looked in his whole mixed martial arts career. He's hungrier than ever. He has gotten side-chicked by McGregor for the last 2.5 years. Literally teased with a red panty night and a couple of $1 million, and he never got it. And he was so close because at first we thought, hey, it's never going to happen. Then McGregor agrees. Then he pulls out. Chandler, I mean, he probably cries every night because of McGregor. And now there has to be this hunger in him. Because for Michael Chandler, this is do or die. If Michael Chandler beats Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler is still relevant for McGregor, for title contention, for the top of the division. If he puts out Charles Oliveira, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Chandler could get a title shot. Or McGregor comes crawling back to him. But if Michael Chandler loses this fight, sayonara, brother. And I'm not saying he's leaving the UFC, but he loses a lot of credibility. He'll get another big fight here or there. He's definitely not fighting for a title. He's definitely not fighting against Conor McGregor. So Michael Chandler has everything on the line to stay relevant here. Everything. Everything is on the line. So he needs to beat Charles Oliveira. And I don't think I've ever seen him this determined. I don't think I've ever seen him in this shape. And he's fought Charles Oliveira before. He's tasted Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira, who's a sneaky submission artist, who packs sneaky power, drops guys out of nowhere where no one expects it. So what happens here? Because Charles Oliveira looks good. He lost Arman Tsarukyan, but he almost had a sub. Dariush, he slept him early. Charles Oliveira is still Charles Oliveira. Now, one thing that stood out to me is that when Arman Tsarukyan got away from that sub, he was able to have his whole round on top of Charles Oliveira. And Charles Oliveira in the third round was on his back, doing absolutely nothing for 5 minutes. And when you're talking about a wrestler like Michael Chandler, if Michael Chandler gets him down, evades a sneaky submission, what's stopping him from winning this fight? Effective ground and pound, sneaky. I think he could get it done. Now, Dustin Poirier submitted Michael Chandler. You're going to tell me Charles Oliveira can't? Granted. But again, I just think this is a different Michael Chandler. I think he is going to push a pace, but I think he's going to fight with intelligence. I do not think we see the same Michael Chandler we're used to seeing. I don't think we see the hands down. I don't think we see the Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier approach where he's like, hit me, let's make this a dogfight. I don't think we see that guy. I think we see a guy who knows it's the last straw, his last opportunity to stay relevant, and I think he's going to go out there and give it his all. And I think that hunger and his shape right now, I think he's going to outdo Charles Oliveira. And I don't think Charles Oliveira is doubting Michael Chandler, but what I will say is that I don't think he's ready for what's to come. I really am all over Michael Chandler, and I think I'm putting a unit on him to win this fight at plus 215. And I love it. I love the 5-round fight. I think it's all in his favor. Let me know what you think below about that one. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, the champion, the heavyweight champion, Jon Jones against Stipe Miocic, the best heavyweight of all time. Jon Jones, a minus 625 favorite. Stipe plus 455. Guys, 42 years old, Stipe. 37-year-old Jon Jones. Obviously, the heavyweight division known for older fighters. But I don't like these odds. I think Jon Jones wins this fight. And I'll give you a few reasons why. But minus 600 is nuts. Stipe, I mean, everybody has a puncher's chance. But you haven't fought in the last 2.5 to 3 years. Your last 5 fights have been the same 2 opponents. He fought DC 3 times. He fought Francis twice. He's coming off the knockout loss. He's been at home on his couch and working until they basically thought of this fight with Jon Jones. Then he started training. Jon, I will say I thought there was going to be problems when he walked in with Cyril Gane. Silly me, just the ring rust. I'm a big ring rust guy. But he came in and he looked fantastic. And Jon Jones looks even better. He looks even better now. So what I will say is Stipe is not Cyril Gane. Stipe is a great wrestler. Stipe does have power. Stipe can box. Jon Jones, the greatest of all time. Great all around. Not a lot of knockout power. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, he's going to sub again. I don't know. I'm not sure how Jon Jones finishes this fight because his IQ is insane and he'll see the windows and he'll make that decision, right? But what I will say is I don't think this is an easy task. I don't think this is minus 625. Do I think Jon Jones wins? Yes. Do I think this line's a little crazy? A part of me does. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we go in there, Jon Jones steamrolls and I'm like, shit, round 1 finish? That's crazy. But there's a bet that I saw at plus money for Jon Jones to finish the fight in the 4th or 5th round or by decision. And I kind of like it. Because if there's one thing that Jon Jones is going to do in this fight is respect Stipe a little bit. Jon Jones is going to let that fight play out. I don't think he's just going to stand there, go for a quick takedown, and find some sub. This is not the same thing, right? And again, he's going to be more weary of Stipe's power, experience, ability than he was of Cyril Gane. And I'm certain of that. So do we get past the first round? I'll put a good amount of money on that. I really do believe that. Can it be finished early? Of course. But I think this is going to be a closer fight than people expect. Ultimately, Jon Jones is Jon Jones. He is the greatest of all time. And he wins this fight. And I have him winning in either the championship rounds or decision. Maybe a little earlier. But I don't think this is a quick walk in and walk out like it was with Cyril Gane. I think we're going to get a better fight than we expect. And I'm excited for it. I have a whole video about him running away from Tom Aspinall. I still stand by it. I'm not going to take up this video talking about it. You could go find that, or I'll when I do a recap of UFC 309, we'll talk about it. But long story short, guys, I gave you my insight, what I believe. These picks are going to be on my Instagram. But more importantly, I haven't made my final bets. I have to look at prop bets, UFC exclusives, yada, yada, yada. That's all on my Instagram, guys. If you want my bets, $4.99 a month, guys. You can't beat it. Go check out my Instagram. I appreciate all the support. And if you're new here on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. I love doing this, guys. Have a good one.